What dream have you yet to achieve, and what is keeping you from moving forward? Paul Artale is a motivational speaker, self-help author, and certified Gallup StrengthsFinder facilitator who helps people and organizations overcome challenges so that they can break through barriers and perform at their peak. Paul's talks not only inspire audience members to achieve their dreams, but also asks deep, thought-provoking questions and provides simple but effective processes to help you on your journey. Today you will hear select highlights from Paul's signature keynote, Hit Hard, 3 must-have mindsets to break through challenges. And you will learn one mindset that is the foundation for overcoming a challenge in your life. Born with what some would perceive to be a physical challenge, Hit Hard shares Paul's journey in American football that led him to fulfilling his dream of playing defensive end for the University of Toronto. Paul's clients include Ford Motor Company, Business Insurance Corporation, Michigan State University, the Society for Human Resources Management, as well as several school districts and conferences aimed at youth leadership and empowerment. When he isn't speaking, Paul especially enjoys watching lots of Netflix with his wife Sherry, son Alessio, and daughter Sophia. And sometimes, on rare occasions, the family even lets Paul pick the movie. Please get ready to hit hard and welcome Paul Artale.
Last week, my family let me pick the movie. I chose a film that has inspired me ever since I was a child, The Karate Kid, Part 3. In the final scene, Daniel is getting beaten up by the Cobra Kai, and in desperation, he turns to Mr. Miyagi and says, "It's too difficult. I want to quit." And without hesitating, Mr. Miyagi replies, "The best is still inside of you. Time to let it out." All the tools you need to be successful and overcome challenges already exist within you. You simply need to find ways to unleash them on the world. And sometimes, that requires the help of others. Speaking of help, I need your help to make this speech work. Throughout this talk, whenever I say the word hit, you need to yell back the word hard. Let's try. Hit! Oh, we can do better than that. Hit! Hit! Not bad. I hear that, and I'm transported to my days playing at the University of Toronto. Our head coach, Coach Howlett, would use that on us all the time, and I loved it. One day it dawned on me, this is a really good metaphor for overcoming challenges in life. No matter who you are, at some point you will be knocked to the ground by something you can't see. You'll be hit. Okay, we got to pick it up a little bit, all right? And when you're down there, you can cry about it. Maybe you can pray for divine intervention. Or you can pick yourself up. You can fight back with everything you have. You can hit. As a child, I loved sports. But when I told people I wanted a career in athletics, what sport do you think they recommended? Shout out the answers. Track, you ain't seen me run. Soccer. Soccer, because you only have to use your feet, which I did on the other players. But the moment I saw football, I fell in love. In the 11th grade, I worked up the courage to try out for the high school team, and I made it. But I was cut the very next year. I thought my great career was over. Hit! 6 years later, I run into my friend Jake. Jake tells me there's a semi-professional team in town looking for players. Quick disclaimer. Whenever you hear the word semi-professional next to a sport, it's code for beer, league. I didn't care. I just wanted to play. After 3 months of practice, our first game was upon us. Our opponents were the Longhorns, who had won 6 straight league championships. 10 minutes into the game, the assistant coach tapped me on the helmet. It was time to play. I was getting pumped up. I was about to jump onto the sidelines when I felt a hand grab me. It was the hand of our head coach, who'd never showed up to practice. He pulled me off to the side, looked at the assistant coach and said, "This isn't the Special Olympics. He doesn't play. Hit!" Tell me about it. What would you do? Me? I went back to the bench and I watched. Watched as we lost 45-3. Watched as every teammate played that day, but I didn't. After the game, Jake pulled me aside. He said, "Paul, you deserve to be out there. Coach will see it. But until then, meet me before practice. I'll make you a better player." But all I could think was, this is too difficult. Maybe I should quit. Hit! Before I did that, I decided I would get a second opinion. All my heroes have mentors. Luke has Yoda. Daniel has Miyagi. I got Joe. Joe's my cousin. He's 10 years older than me. He's an accountant by trade. There's not a single expense he can't write off on a tax return. At the age of 4, Joe was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy. Bound to a wheelchair. I'm quitting, Joe. No coach is ever going to play me. And even worse, after the game, Jake asks if he can help me. I don't want pity. I just want to play. When did your ego get so big you became too good to ask for help? I ask for help every day. There's no shame in it. Humble yourself and finish what you started, because this is all you've talked about for 6 years. Hit! Reluctantly, I met Jake before the next practice. Within 2 weeks, the entire team joined us. Jake turned my pity party into an excuse to build a more cohesive club. By the end of the season, I was a starter on that team. By the end of the season, that coach who said those mean things called me and asked me to be the assistant coach on his high school team. By the end of the season, Jake had learned that I had enrolled in a graduate program at the University of Toronto. And by doing so, I was eligible to try out for the team. And I was terrified. But I knew that if I stayed humble and kept learning, that I could at least attempt and would eventually achieve my dream of playing college football. Hit! That's my story. Normally I would speak about 3 must-have mindsets you need to be successful. Today I'm going to talk about the one mindset. This mindset is the cornerstone to overcoming any challenge in your life. That mindset is to leverage your strengths. Leveraging your strengths has 3 distinct elements that I'm going to talk about in succession. And let's start with element A, strength of ability. It is far too easy to focus on what you don't have versus what you do have. Before my first tryout, I was obsessed with my short arms and my lack of speed. If you've ever seen me run, I resemble Mr. Snuffleupagus. But 3 weeks into practices, Coach Howlett pulled me aside and he said, "Paul, you got big oak legs. They're like tree trunks. Nobody can move you. This is what we're going to do. You're going to get really low, and on the snap of the ball, you're going to hit and occupy the man in front of you. This will allow your teammates behind you to make more tackles." And that's what we did. And that's what worked. And that's what allowed me to play on college football fields throughout the country. Some of you may want a more evidence-based approach to strength of ability, and to that, I offer you this resource. This is the Gallup StrengthsFinder Leadership Assessment. Strengths-based leadership is based in the notion that people perform at their peak when they are utilizing their abilities and natural-born talents. I want you to answer this question for me. Have you ever had a part of your job that you didn't like? Have you ever had a part of your job that you didn't like, but your boss thought it was really important? Have you ever had a part of your job that you didn't like, that your boss thought was really important, so they sent you to a training to get better at the part of your job that you didn't like? And how much did you improve? Minimal at best. Now I want you to think about a part of your job that you love. What talents and abilities does that touch and utilize? If you can think of that talent, say yes. Yes. That is one of your super strengths. Lock onto it. For those who want a little bit more research, Gallup has done extensive research on the benefits of strengths-based cultures and strengths-based performance. I'm going to give you 2 facts. Number 1, when individuals take the StrengthsFinder assessment and process the results with a certified coach, they see a 9 times increase in their job performance. When organizations adopt strengths-based culture and make it part of their daily habits, that number doubles. Focus on your abilities. Hit! Element B, strength of belief. Have you ever been told that you can't do something or that you don't fit the mold? Have you ever told yourself that you can't do something or that you don't fit the mold? Strength of belief has to do with the terms and phrases and words that we put into our mental dictionary and accept. And what we accept determines how we act in the world and how we see ourselves. Words matter. And for me, there was one word that forever changed how I saw myself. That word was athlete. As the season was coming to an end, Coach Hallett and I were having just a very informal conversation where out of nowhere he said to me, "Paul, you're a good athlete." I had never seen myself that way before. To be honest, I always saw myself as a disabled football player. But when he said athlete, it forced me to reflect. And in reflecting, I realized that I had been playing football at one of the highest levels any individual can ever play. Not everybody can do that, but athletes can. In that moment, I decided to forever delete the term disabled football player from my mental dictionary and inserted the word athlete. And I have seen myself that way ever since. In psychology, we call this having an identity shift. So my questions to you: what word do you need to add to your mental dictionary? And probably more important, what words do you need to delete? Hit! Leveraging strengths, element C, strength of habit. I have created a very simple process that if you make this a habit, it will increase your growth and your success. I call it the Artale momentum process, or AMP. Yes, you gotta have an acronym, right? It has 3 simple steps, and here they are. First, you have an experience. Then you receive feedback and analyze the feedback based on that experience. Then you make a change based on the feedback that you've analyzed and received. And then you go back and you have another experience. And you continue this over and over and over again. Does this sound a little familiar to anyone in the room? The beauty about adopting this habit is that when you commit to AMP, you stop seeing life about wins and losses, and you become focused on continual positive growth. Success is the byproduct of adopting this habit. But I have to warn you, the process has some negative side effects. You see, asking for feedback, trying new things with no idea what the result is going to be, that leaves you vulnerable. And being vulnerable can be uncomfortable. But I challenge you to be uncomfortable, because within discomfort lie the seeds of true growth and progress. Have you ever started a fitness routine after months of inactivity? Yeah. And how did you feel the very next day? Terrible. But if you persisted, it got a little easier, right? And if you kept moving forward past that, it got too easy. So then you began to push yourself. Maybe you ran a little longer. You ran a little faster. You lifted more weights. You became comfortable in the uncomfortable. Be uncomfortable. At 26 years of age, I walked onto a college football team where every recruit was a first-team all-star. I was first-team right bench. I was uncomfortable. The very first opponent I faced on a college football field was 302 pounds of solid, mean muscle. Some of that might have been steroids. But I was uncomfortable. 6 years ago, a nurse placed a baby into my hands and said, "Congratulations, Mr. Artale. You are now a father." Don't clap for me, I didn't do the hard work. Right, Sherry? She's on camera. I was in love and extremely uncomfortable. Embrace the pain. Embrace the discomfort, because without pain, there is no progress. Hit! When the season was done, I was given the most inspirational player award by my team. And while that trophy was fantastic and a great honor, what is most significant to me is that if you look at the names on that plaque, my name sits next to elite athletes, men who won national championships, men who had professional football careers. And one day when both my children are old enough, I will take them to the Athletic Center at the University of Toronto where that plaque stands. And I will say to them what I'm about to say to you right now. You are the author of your own success. All the tools you need to be successful are already within you. To quote the great philosopher Lady Gaga, "You're on the right track, baby. You were born this way." And you get there by leveraging your strengths. And that's done by focusing on your abilities, holding true with positive, steadfast beliefs, and committing to a process that will amp up your growth. When you do this, you will succeed. I challenge you to take the next uncomfortable step forward in your journey. It won't be easy. You're probably going to fall to that ground. But if you do, and you're thinking to yourself, it's too difficult, I want to quit, I don't know what to do next, I want you to remember to hit. It's not just a catchphrase. It's a mindset. It's a way of life. Enjoy your conference.